My youngest daughter, Kayla, when she was 2 years old, my wife and my other two children had gone to the grocery store. It was a Sunday afternoon, and just like any other man in the world on Sunday afternoon in the late fall, early winter, I was at home watching football. Kayla, my youngest daughter, she was asleep in her bedroom. Actually, I think she was around 3 years old, and as I'm watching the football game, I hear her little footsteps come across the kitchen floor into the living room, and she comes up to me, right? And you know how little kids are. She said, "Daddy, what you doing?" "I'm watching the football game, Kayla." "Really? That's awesome. Daddy, I want a color." "Okay, all right, let me get you some crayons." So I'll wait for a commercial. I get the crayons and I lay them out on the table for her, and then I take the coloring book, and because I am an incredibly intelligent father, I only tear one picture out and I put it on the kitchen table for her, because I have learned from experience that if you give a small child an entire coloring book, every single page will have something colored on it. However, no picture will be complete. So I give her the whole, I give her just, instead of giving her a whole book, I give her just one page. And it's a picture of a dog bowl, a tree, and the sun and the sky, right? So I give her this picture and I go back and I watch my football game, because at the time my football game is much more important than spending any time with my daughter. Not really, but that's just the way it worked out. And so pretty soon, the humming in the kitchen had stopped. She was coloring and humming. Pretty much that had stopped. And she brings this picture to me, right? And when she brings me this picture, I look at it and I see that the dog is purple. The dog is purple. The grass is red. The bowl is not even colored. The sky is green. The tree is a mixture of colors. The sun is, I don't even know what color, right? And I look at this paper and I look at it, and you know exactly what I did. I took it and I just looked at it and I said, "This is not how you're supposed to color. This is not what you're supposed to do. Dogs are not purple and trees are not a conglomeration of colors. You're outside of the lines in so many different places. You need to do this." That's not what I did. You know what I did is I took that piece of paper, right? I took this picture of this dog, this bowl, the tree, and the sun, and I went to the refrigerator and I put it there, because even though it wasn't done perfectly, she still did it for me. So then, after I gave her a little snack, she came over on the couch where I was sitting, and she sat in my lap, right? She sat in my lap, and she began to ask me questions. "Daddy, what are you doing?" "Kayla, I'm watching football." "Why are you watching football?" "I'm watching football because that's what men do on Sunday afternoons." She's like, "Daddy, why do they have that funny hat on?" "Well, Kayla, that's to protect them so that when they hit each other, it won't hurt them." "But Daddy, if they're hitting each other, that's not Christian. They're not supposed to hit each other, because Jesus said we're supposed to love each other." And I'm like, yeah, Kayla, I got you. And so I began the process of educating her on the different nuances and things that make football such an awesome game, right? And as I'm in the middle of this extended diatribe, I look down, and Kayla, my youngest daughter, 3 years old, is fast asleep in my lap. You know exactly what I did, right? I grabbed her by both shoulders. I put her in front of me. I said, "Wake up! How dare you go to sleep in my presence? How dare you do that? Don't you know who I am? I'm your father. I created you." No, that's not what I did at all. What I did is I just held her, right? I just held her and I just let her rest. There's been a misconception of who God the Father is. And a lot of times we read it in the Old Testament, and we look at this God as, he's just up there with this clipboard marking down the checks and the X's on his sheet of whether he's going to love you or whether he's not going to love you. Pastors have stood up in pulpits and talked about how angry God is at you and how angry God is at me. A lot of times those are the sermons that get played the most. God is against this and God is against that, and God hates this country and God hates this and God hates that. I'm sorry. That's not the God that I see. I see a God, when I read scripture, that's willing to cross mountains, sky, and space just to save you, just to save me. He is so happy anytime you just close your eyes just for a moment and say, God, thank you. He's so happy when you open up his word in the morning, in the afternoon, or even in the evening, or even on your commute on the train or the bus, and you open up your phone and you begin to read his word. It makes him so happy. Just like when Kayla came and sat on my lap. Her presence was enough to make her Father happy. I believe that's what our Father in heaven's like. Even our smallest attempts at spending time with him make him happy. I encourage you today to carve off some time in the morning, carve off some time in the afternoon, carve off some time tonight, and just spend it with God, because he wants to spend time with you. Your presence is enough.